Hey, this is David Kaplan from the Cap J Hood Show on ESPN 1000 and NBC Sports Chicago. Now get ready to listen and watch to Bulls 101 with Kris and Larro. Take that, Sparkles.
What's up, Bulls fans? It's Kris and Larro back again. The end of the season is upon us here at Bulls 101, and it's been a crazy ride. We had a morning game this morning against the Nets, I believe it was, and finally saw some Pat action that we've been wanting to see for a long time. How do you feel about the game today?
Today, I mean, it was nice to see them come out and throw the first punch. Obviously, it was nice seeing Pat do his thing out there, and not just because his brother is on the day, but I thought it was a good showing of Coby. His shot may not have been falling, but I thought he did a really good job of affecting the game without scoring the ball. Obviously, it's the Nets. I mean, they're at a different level than we are. The Bulls are at the moment, and that's no shame. I mean, when they have three monsters like that, I mean, that's just what it's going to be. But today, I guess the plus is like I said, seeing Pat. I know a lot of fans have been worried about him, which I'm not on that end, but it's good to see it. Yeah.
Okay, but Larro, what happened to my guy Dotson? What's he got to do? What's he got to do to get some playing time?
Mama Dotson got to pull up on Billy Donovan. That's what's got to happen. She got to do it old school. She got to do it old school. Pull up.
That's funny. Speaking of family, we have an amazing guest tonight. Will White, older brother of Coby White, who's obviously the starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls, and he has agreed to come on Bulls 101 tonight and be a part of the show and talk hoops, talk coaching, talk what it's like to be a family member and roommate to Coby White, and see what all the little people have to say. So welcome, Will White. How you doing? Thanks for coming on.
How you guys doing? Appreciate you guys having me.
Hey man, we chilling. You know what I mean? I had a little margarita before we came on, so we chilling, man.
It's always happy hour in the golden household, right?
There it is, man. You already know, man. But like Kris said, man, we appreciate you coming on, man. Just happy to chop it up with you, man. Talk some ball. Let's get it, man.
So I wanted to ask you first off, kind of what as the season's wrapping up, we got one more game against the Bucks tomorrow. But what do you thought overall on the season from what you've seen from the Bulls as a whole, with the trades, with the record, with obviously the new coach coming in, all these different changes? What have you seen from this Bulls season that's got you encouraged?
First of all, they won 30 games since the 2016-2017 season. So, I think that's got to be talked about as improvement, right?
Yeah.
You got to try to find the positives in something that's some people think are negative. I thought the trade was good with Vooch. Obviously, I knew who he was as a player, but I didn't know he was that good and that effective on the game. He can shoot the ball. He can put the ball on the floor. He can post up. He can pass. And for a guy that people don't think that is very athletic or not as athletic as some other bigs in the league or other players, he's a rebounding machine. So I thought that was good. I mean, I thought obviously it was up and down. I think obviously COVID affected a lot of people, a lot of teams rather. I think it affected them. I think it affected them in the beginning of the season. And then it affected them at the end of the season. With Zach being out at the beginning of the season with, Sato being out, Chandler Hutchinson being out. We never really got to see him this year before he got traded. Arch being out. Obviously, Arch is a spark plug player that can come in and give you everything he got. And he's a smart player. He's a proven winner. If you follow him in college,
Yeah.
he kind of led that Villanova team to beat UNC that year. Even though Kris was a guy to hit that shot, he was kind of the anchor of that team. But I'm excited for the future. Obviously, I know Pat's from North Carolina. Seeing him play a lot. I think he has a lot of upside. I think obviously he has the measurables. So I'm just excited. I think the offense fits well. I think they moved from a lot of more so not taking a jab at anybody, but one-on-one basketball from last year to a lot of ball movement, player movement, which is kind of modern NBA style offense right now. And I was happy to see Thad play well this year.
Yeah.
I'm a big Thad Young fan on and off the court because what he does, what he does on the court, but obviously what he does off the court for the kids that come through his AU program. So
yeah, on the Thad point, it was funny because a lot of people were like down on Thad, and it was like last year, bro. He was sitting in the corner taking threes. I mean, we know. I mean, no disrespect to Thad, but brother, we know that's not his game. That's not what he wants to do. It's just been fun seeing him as like an offensive hub, and having him be kind of an integral part of the offense in terms of reading the defense and making the right pass, being a kind of a connector, if you will, and keeping the offense going and things like that. People that know me know that I'm a huge Pat guy. And to me, if you scouted or watched film of him, he's going to bring the intangibles. He's a guy that, works hard. He's going to do the little things on the court. But obviously the game, it's different. Obviously, you can get lost in seeing Anthony Edwards and LaMelo do all these things. But to me, those guys were put in a good situation. I mean, I guess you could say Anthony Edwards at first was kind of in a bad situation in terms of always, being like a lead guy. And then once D'Lo came back, like you could just see he was inserted into a position that, in a role, I should say, where he could just kind of take off. And LaMelo, I mean, the dude he's just an excellent passer, gets up and down. The offense just fits him well. With Pat, he to me, I feel like he came into a situation where he's got Zach and he's got Coby and he's got a couple other guys. He's got to like kind of find his role. And I think at the beginning of the year, I feel like Pat was. Again, I'm not in the locker room or anything like that, but I'm kind of speculating. It almost seemed like he was just trying to do the right things, not kind of step on anybody's toes, but he was trying to find his way in the league. And I feel like some people took that as like him not being aggressive or him not doing the right things. But I feel like I bring this up all the time. Like last year, I was watching Bam Adebayo in the Pro-Am League in Miami, and you were seeing things that you were like, man, dude, why doesn't he do that in the league? Like, he's going through the lays, just playing a different game. And I just feel like, when people saw that clip of him, in the pickup games and stuff, they were like, oh my God, he's fluid. He can do this, he can do that. Oh, he's about to take off. But like, I think a lot of people have to understand is like, it doesn't happen like that. Like you just don't hop in the NBA and you just go crazy. Like you got to, first of all, get comfortable in the league and know how teams are going to guard you and know what to look for against certain opponents and what your strengths are in the league. Your strengths in the league may be different than it was in college and in high school. So like there's different things that you have to figure out and there's different learning curves, and that's just my spiel. I'm not even going there with Pat, but yeah, man, I mean, I'm just excited in terms of like the future for the team. I mean, I think obviously Zach taking another leap is huge. Getting Vooch was huge, and I think getting Vooch also helped Coby in the way of now Coby, and nobody knows him better than you. You know what I'm saying? You've seen him for a long time, you know, from the roots, you know, grassroots. So, but I just feel like the addition of Vooch, you know, attracting more attention to him and finding Coby on the weak side, so Coby can get into his catch and shoot and attack off the closeouts and he's just and I'm just excited, like I said, going forward. I'm sorry, Kris, I went long-winded. My bad, brother.
No, that actually leads into, you know, Will, you said a couple of things, and Larry brought up a good point. One of our followers on Twitter, Matt Hearn, I'm sorry if I'm screwing up your last name. He had a question for you, Will. He said, massive fan of Coby. Question for Will: how much has the arrival of Vucevic helped Coby's game? So what have you seen since that trade that you think has helped Coby have a really kind of strong end to this season?
I think, you know, so like I guess in sports and in basketball particular, like you have players that like kind of are a match made in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the case with them. I think that like Coach Donovan hits it on the head. Coby makes the game easy for Vooch. Vooch makes the game easy for Coby. I think it kind of helped Coby kind of have a release valve in a sense. Like, all right, I know I can throw this guy the ball. He's going to get a bucket. And if he gets doubled, he's capable. He's skilled enough to make the right read and to make a play and give me a wide open shot, right? So I think that has elevated his game. And I think playing with him has also made him more comfortable. If that makes sense, in the sense that that they just kind of feed off each other. Like, it's just like when you're playing a game and you know you can look to the guy to the left of you, the right of you, know I can depend on you, or like it's a level of comfort with that player. Like, you can go out there and you can play with more confidence, in my opinion. Like I've played with guys that I knew like he was gonna have my back or I was gonna have his back, and that gives you more confidence going into the game. And I think that's with them. And I think it was just like, you know how I guess some players build chemistry. I think their chemistry was like instant.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, if you could put a player around each one, like Coby and a player around Vooch, that the archetype of player would be the opposite, you know.
Gotcha.
As far as the archetype that Vooch would need around him will be Coby, and the archetype that Coby would need around him is Vooch.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that work on occasion because, as you said, Vooch, when he gets doubled, he makes the right pass, and you have to have shooters on the wings to take advantage of those double teams. When you got guys like Zach and Coby out there who are really dynamic shooters, dynamic off the dribble, and can, you know, get to the rim, that's a good fit with Vooch. And I think you're right. Offensively, they really complement each other. And I know I wanted to ask another question because before we came on, you had mentioned that you're actually roommates with Coby. You're in Chicago. So does he ever come home in a bad mood, and you got to, that meme where Draymond Green is in Kevin Durant's ear, like hyping him up? Do you ever have to play hype man to your brother sometimes after a bad game or after a good game? You hype him up, you gas him up?
I mean, like, my brother's pretty mature for his age, and
yeah,
I think he's his young life, he's been through a lot. I mean, sometimes we talk. Obviously, we talk. And you know, sometimes I'm here for him to vent and just listen, and sometimes I'm here to give advice to tell him, like, you know, it's gonna be all right. Like, I have this saying, like, good things happen to good people. So I remind him of that sometimes. But I mean, I feel like it's times that, yeah, like you have to be there for him to like I said, to vent. There's times that you have to listen to him and then give him some feedback on some things. But like, I'm the type of person, like, if you play good, like, you had a good game, like, that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like. I mean, you get enough praise from everybody else. You know, obviously he knows how I feel about, like, him, and obviously I always want him to play good. I'm a realist, you're not always going to play good. So, but when you do play good, like that's what you're supposed to do. You had a good game. I'm proud of you, but like we're not going to sit here and talk about you see that move you did on such and such and such. You know,
That's for us fans to do, right? We're the ones that get hyped up about those plays.
yeah.
So. That was funny.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny you brought that up though, because I always wondered, like, when you were sitting in the stands, and like for instance, like when Coby had that dunk on the break last game, 2 games ago,
nice.
like like, is it hard?
I felt
for you?
something.
Right. Like I know you just said, like, like you try not to be, hey, like that's what you're supposed to do, kind of. But was it hard for you to not get out your seat and go crazy? Like, man, little bro just went crazy right there, or like what in those type of moments, or that game when he hit 8 threes, like in those moments when Coby goes crazy, like is that like one of those things where like, oh, I expect that from Coby, I've seen him do that, or is it like, man, that's bro, man, I'm happy to see his hard work pay off kind of deal?
Like that dunk caught me by surprise. So I was like my face was like, "Ooh, okay, I see you." Obviously, like the 8 threes was great. But the night that I was like hype was I give you an example of me being like hype was the 7 threes in the fourth quarter against the Knicks.
Oh yeah,
his rookie year. So like that was a moment where I would be like, oh yeah, like I'm hyped, like because at that point in time he wasn't having a lot of success at that point in time. But like these past couple games, I mean, like I seen him put the work in, so that's what I expect him to do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah. Well, both of you guys seem really even keeled. Like not too high, not too low. Is that something that's just a personality trait, or is that something that you and Coby practice or try and get better at?
He's way more even keeled than me. Like I probably show way more emotion than him. If I'm being honest, like he's an introvert. I'm like, I don't mean a stranger, and if like something's bothering me, like I'm gonna speak on it. Like he's so like even keel. He doesn't let like the good or the bad affect him, which is a good trait. In my opinion, it's a good trait to have, especially as a young player. And what he like in the league where he's had a lot of ups and downs. So I try to take some of that type of stuff and like use it in my even my everyday life, like. But yeah, so we're total opposites in that. Like I can be sometimes a very emotional person. I had conversations with Larry before, so I think Larry kind of knows like how I am a little bit, especially when it comes to like my brother.
Yeah.
But he's more so like, bro, it really doesn't matter what they like. He's like, it really doesn't matter what anybody thinks. I'm just go out and play my game.
Yeah.
Like if I miss a shot, I'm still gonna shoot the next one. Like,
Hey, like that to me, that is something that I wish I had, because when I played, you couldn't tell me nothing, bro. I'm showing emotion. You know what I'm saying? Like I respect people like that, because like if I would have put that dunk down that Coby put down, the whole city of Chicago. Because man, like this, like just seeing this dunk from Coby, like it was crazy, man. I woke my son up.
Oh, that's a nice way.
I woke my son up, man. I just put him down to bed. I saw the dunk. That was crazy.
So you get these high moments, but there's also, I feel like as an NBA player, you're so vulnerable, or you're put in a position where everything that you do is televised or reported on, and your whole life is kind of not private anymore in a lot of ways. So as you mentioned, Kobe's has a really good attitude about that, and he's even keel. He doesn't really take too much. But I know as a family member of someone who's in the NBA, it probably gets hard watching some of the criticism or listening to some of the criticism of your family members. So I wanted to ask you, because I know you also have a coaching background. So I wanted to ask you, number one, from a family member standpoint, how do you handle that criticism, and what do you do to try and either combat it or ignore it, or what, how do you deal with it? And then from a coaching perspective, we want to get in a little bit later in the show to, some of the things that you've seen from Coby, good and bad, this year. You said there's been ups and downs. So I just wanted to see, as a family member, how do you handle that type of criticism? Because it's all over the place, up and down, right?
Yeah, so it's very hard. Not gonna lie to you, it's very hard. I think you have to pick and choose your battles. You can go on Twitter at any given point and come across so Twitter is I think Dave Chappelle had a really good example today. I seen somebody put it on Twitter. Twitter is like a subway wall, where everybody's there to put everybody's your business out there. So why would you want to go out there and put your business, on that wall? But so it's hard. So you have to pick and choose your battles. Obviously me and Mark from Australia has had a back and forth before.
Yeah.
No bad blood there. You can feel. I've learned to filter out the people who are just trolls and people who have no recollection of what they're talking about. And then people who does have some sense of what's going on in the game. Because for me as a coach, it's just hard. It's hard to sit here and listen to people that don't have, in my opinion, don't know anything about the game, and they're just talking. No, just talking just to talk because X player had a bad game or this team is playing bad. Okay, but what is the substance behind your criticism? So me and Mark had a conversation. We had several conversations, and I was on his podcast, and at least I respect him because at least he has substance behind. This is why I think, Coby can't do this, or this is why he needs this. So I feel like I have to filter, that those criticisms or those comments, because it's a lot of times I want to say something. And I'm why waste that negative energy on this person or that person? And there's times where I'll try to have a respectable conversation with somebody, or I'll call out somebody. Obviously, I'm not going to call out somebody I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But that's why I stand on that.
Definitely not a position I envy. That's well, especially you come home, or Coby comes home after a game, and you're seeing all these things, whether it's a good game or a bad game, these criticisms, and it's just got to be tough to be a family member. Because I know we talked about, Larro and I and Fred, our guest last week, talked about it, about kind of the way players are treated sometimes in this way, and that's just us as fans. And I know it upsets me as a fan. I don't know Coby. I don't know him at all, right? I don't know him personally. He doesn't know who I am. But you're his brother. You live with him. So I mean, if someone was doing that to my sibling, saying things about my sibling that way, that would be extremely tough to handle. So props to you for picking the battles.
I think I said this on Mark's podcast, or I've said this before, fans, that's cool. That's your job to be fans. And without the fans in basketball, the teams won't have nothing, right? But at the same time, these NBA players are like you said, on display 24/7. Their lives are on display 24/7. So when they have a bad game or something goes wrong or a bad play, number one, we live in a world full of highlights. Highlights don't tell the true story of a game. Number two, if they mess up, like it's on display for the whole entire world, and this is their livelihood.
Yeah.
But if like you, me, or Larry mess up, like nobody's gonna know. Like if you messed up tonight on the pod, like before, beforehand, like nobody's gonna know. But like yourself or Larry,
Right.
like so it's not on display. So and another thing is, how can I sit here and be critical of somebody or something that I have no recollection about? Like, how can I criticize what you do on your podcast, right? When I don't even know how to set up a podcast myself, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that gets me is like, it's like you may win and you may play good, and then it's like be happy with the loss, be happy with the win, rather. It's still somebody like always out there criticizing, like it's like, I mean, to me it's very, sometimes it's very hard. Like people don't understand. Like you could, like I said, I go back to my biggest example is like you could go to your job and you could have a bad day and you could mess up,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody's gonna know that you messed up on your job, but maybe 2 to 3 people, and you, a coworker or your boss or like your wife or your significant other, if you go and you tell them what happened at work. But these guys, like even the coaches, like somebody messes up and their whole life is on display and everybody's on social media, and like when you've never, the people 9 times out of 10, the people that are talking are the people that have never ever been in a pressure situation like these guys are in and night out, where you have to make a split decision,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that decision can equal success or it can equal failure on any given play. Like going under a screen can equal success or equal failure on any given defensive play. Or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like to me, like that's crazy. Like I mean, being a fan, like yeah, you can be critical. You can be critical of your team. You can be critical of players, yeah. But like on a constant basis, and then like you just talking just to talk. That kind of just gets to me.
Yeah.
I think and then most of it is on Twitter. I feel like, and I feel like Twitter is like bittersweet because a lot of the guests that we get on here are from Twitter, and it's been cool to be able to have that opportunity to contact people. And then there's that other side of it where people just, a lot of times, honestly, it's the people that don't have a real profile picture, or they got a picture of somebody else and they just going crazy, oh, why does Coby keep going over screens, and why does Coby do this? Why can't Coby handle the ball under press? It's a bunch of stuff, man. But like I said, man, I totally agree. Like it can go too far, way too far. A lot of people it can go way too far, and then you get people that, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but you get people that maybe have like a high profile job, and I think somebody has said that they were anesthesiologists or something like that, and Coby or whoever's job isn't as hard as his, but it's like you don't have thousands of people, globally, hundreds of thousands of people watching you do that job. I bet you'd be a lot more, harder. You know what I mean? So it's. I definitely feel where you're coming from. I really do, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, and I don't want to dwell on this too much, and I know it's a tough spot, but it's sometimes that criticism is warranted, sometimes it's not, but ultimately it's the people who are in the know that you can have a reasonable conversation with. Those are the people that I think are the best to respond to, so you can learn. But if you got to just ignore the trolls, and we try to do the same thing. And someone asked in the comments earlier, and this is something I wanted to ask you actually. So Santiago asked this. He said, "Who wins in a one-on-one on basketball, you or Coby?" And I was thinking of a question kind of like that, so I wanted to just throw it out. I mean, do you feel like you got Coby on certain things on the basketball court?
maybe 5 6 years ago, but not now. Like I haven't played organized basketball in like 2 years. Well, a long time, but even pickup basketball forever. And like he's like I'm a realist at the same time. I have confidence, but I'm a realist at the same time. Like maybe I'll get a stop here or two or there, but like my days of trying to score on somebody is over. I'm almost 30 years old, so like and I see somebody asked that I play in college. Yeah, I played Division II basketball. Not obviously not on the level of of Kobe's caliber, but nah, not anymore. Like and people don't like I said, we're 8 years apart. Like so when Kobe was in high school, I was like graduating college, getting ready to start my coaching career. So it wasn't like we had a lot of times where we just go in the backyard and play one on one. So those one on one games are far far in between, you know.
Yeah.
To go along with that, what type of player, what's your archetype? When you were in your prime, what was your archetype?
I was a slasher, man. Slasher defender. I could defend multiple positions. Also had a high IQ. Um, uh, you know, I think I read the game well, which is what would help me kind of transition to coaching. But yeah, I was a very physical player. Because I also played football.
Okay.
So I think that helped me with the physicality of the game and being able to guard, multiple guys, but like even from guards to bigs. But yeah, I was a slasher. I didn't like really get a consistent jump shot until like I got older. Where like, all right, I was losing a step and I had to shoot the ball.
Santiago's trying to get in trouble here, saying, "Can you beat me and Larro 2-on-1?"
Come on, man.
And the banter better be yes, because I know you said you're almost 30 and acting like you're old, but we're both older than that.
Man,
so
games. I'm not playing no games. He said he was a defender, but so I'm gonna just take him down to the block. So I ain't gonna play no games. You know what I'm saying? That's it, brother. That's it.
Oh man, I'm still in my prime. I'm at 34, still in my prime.
I just turned 30. So
you guys both got me. You guys got me on this.
But before we moved on to something else, I kind of was thinking about something, man, because you being a coach as well and played it. Like Kobe was in ESPN, he was a top 30 player coming out of high school. What would, let's say like that G League Ignite was going on then. Do you think as a coach, that Kobe learned more going to play for Roy Williams and UNC? Or do you think Kobe would have gone that G League route, for the money and also for, NBA level type talent? But my point of view is like, yeah, I get NCAA has a bad rap. You know what I'm saying? They're not paying their players, college players, the way they should be and things like that. But for me, it's almost like, I look at a guy like Isaiah Todd and Deshaun Nix that went to go play. And I feel like they would have benefited going. I understand the money, but I feel like they would have benefited in terms of draft stock going to play college ball and going to a system that they would have played well in, because I feel like the triangle offense and things like that, like it just doesn't fit, especially high school players coming in that may not have played in an offense like that you have to think the game a little bit. I just wanted your opinion on that, like in terms of like what you think Kobe would have done. And then in terms of draft stock for certain players that aren't like a surefire, like Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, Kuminga, guys like that. You know what I mean? Like what's your point of view?
Obviously the G League Ignite thing is cool if you don't want to go to school. But you got to understand what you're getting yourself into. You playing against guys in the G League that are, some dudes 30, 32 years old trying grown men, you know, their bodies are filled up. So like I think that it's good for some people, and some people I think it's good to go to college. Like, um, that's just my personal opinion. I think my brother would have just went to school, because he enjoyed his time at Carolina.
Yeah.
Um, Carolina brought him out of his shell because, like I said, he was an introvert. So like they brought him out of his shell. Coach Williams, everybody gives Coach Williams a hard time about developing pros and developing this and that. But I don't think if he wouldn't have went to Carolina, he wouldn't have been a first round draft pick and one and done player.
Yeah.
Cam Johnson wouldn't have went number 11 in the draft. It's another example. But like, I think going to college teaches you a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You playing with, like, obviously in the G League you playing with other good players, but you learn a lot about yourself and in that time. You developing friendships. Obviously you go through ups and downs. I just like the impact that college has on you as a person. Especially at Carolina, like those guys were held to high standard. They were on TV all the time. That's another advantage of like going to like somewhere like that. Like if Deshaun Nixon went to UCLA, he would have been on TV, the Pac-12 network. Obviously, like Michigan was really good this year. Isaiah Todd would have been able to get that exposure, just like Hunter Dickinson from Michigan got exposure.
Yeah.
So I just think like at the end of the day, my brother was going to school not to play to go to the NBA. That's also the different mindsets that guys have.
Yeah.
Like nobody thought he was going to be one and done. And I think if you got that mindset like that with some of these kids, like if you playing because you love the game of basketball and you love being around your teammates and you love, just competing, I think that's better than having all that pressure on you to perform at a high level on a consistent basis, because you got scouts at the game or at practice, and every time you mess up, they're writing. So every time I make a mistake, they're writing.
Yeah.
And they're taking that back to a GM, and the GM is reading the report. And I think that's what kind of happened to some of those guys that on the G League Ignite team. Like they were playing against other pros, so you're going to be graded. You're going to be graded like a pro.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's also like being one and done I think, in my personal opinion, being one and done is extremely hard because you have no room for error. Like you have to come in day one and produce. Like I felt like the G League Ignite team, if they didn't come, like those guys that didn't come in and produce, like they were deemed by other people as failures or like not as good as they were where they was ranked. And you saw that this year. Like look at the Final Four and the national championship game. You know what I'm saying? Like Baylor won a national championship on older guys and transfer guys.
Yeah.
Obviously Gonzaga had Jalen Suggs, but everybody else on the team was beside Joe. What's the kid's name to play like the two? Like he was like an underclassman, but I felt like everybody else that played was an upperclassman. Like UCLA had upperclassmen, Cody Riley, Tiger Campbell. You know, like so it's extremely hard to go and produce right away as a freshman.
No doubt.
Thank you. Appreciate that perspective. And actually that leads me into my next question, which is there's been a whole lot of talk about Coby's role on the team. And I think he had one of the most difficult things. You mentioned kind of being thrown into the fire against grown men, going to the G League versus playing in college or, that competition. So in your opinion, because sometimes we see when these kids are thrown into the fire, they come out better for it. Sometimes it takes them a little longer. Sometimes the fit is just right and they take off. So wanted to see what your opinion on for Coby's situation and the role that he was kind of thrust into this year as a starting point guard. As we know, the point guard is one of the most difficult positions for a young player to play effectively in the NBA. And, with Coby's skill set being what it is, do you feel like that was, ultimately a beneficial thing for him to be kind of thrust in that role? And what kind of development have you seen from him this year in that respect?
So I appreciate them letting him do that, because it doesn't put him in a pigeonhole and say, we only see you as a scorer. Obviously they had to see something in him to give him a shot at being a point guard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's good. Like, I think you learn a lot from failure. I think one of the coaches that I work with at UNCG, he always say, life is about problem solving, and I think that he got to do a lot of problem solving this year. And I think even like dating back to last year, that I think, in my opinion, last year prepared him for this year when he got taken out of the starting lineup. Because last year wasn't easy. If we go back and look at last year, his first 2 games, he had 17 and 7 against Charlotte off the bench. And then he goes to Memphis and has like 25 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then like his playing time kind of like is like very, very up and down. And then he kind of like breaks through at the end because of injuries, and it was the end of the season and whatnot. So I think what he went through last year prepared him for this year, in my opinion. And I think that my brother's a quick learner. So he learns from his mistakes. And it's just all about, I think with young players, it's all about giving them opportunity and letting them know you believe in them. I think that, the front office to a certain extent did that. And they did at the end of the day, like, it was a business decision. They did the best thing they thought at that point in time was, to take him out of the start lineup, and then it's kind of different. Like when you have a season, like it was different because now you got Vooch came in and he was a seasoned player, and obviously they played good together. So it was kind of like in my opinion, a seamless transition. And like we don't know what players are doing behind the scenes. Like they guys don't know what my brother was doing behind the scenes to prepare and stay ready, and just having that mindset. My brother has a mindset like, how boxers say they're gonna go out on their shield. Like they want to go out on their shield. Like my brother's gonna go out like, being who he is. And it's just displaying that work ethic and competing. So I think that was good. I mean, I like I said, I appreciate them for, letting him have the opportunity to play point guard. And I'll say this. I talked about this on Mark's podcast. Number one, if you want somebody who's just a true point guard or savant, I use the word savant with the ball. I think it's like maybe 5 to 7 guards in the league right now that's a savant with the ball. It's just like crazy, like a pass first that has crazy vision. Other guys are just like can pass, dribble, and shoot. Like if we look at Drew Holiday, obviously he's a great defender, but it's not like he's just coming off ball screens and he's whipping the ball everywhere out the ball screen. And he's creating like a shot, so a shot is like the best shot possible for guys. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think my brother can be like a guy that can pass the ball, get the ball where it's needed. And I think the biggest thing for him was knowing when I can score and when I got to get other people involved, and not just coming down and doing my thing and making sure everybody was set up. And I think that the second time he got in the starting lineup, you could see the difference. Like
Yeah.
he was making sure that everybody was where they were supposed to be. He was making sure he knew he had to get Vooch the ball. He knew he had to get Zach the ball, or you know what I'm saying. He knew, all right, I could score at this point, or I'm not open and I'm reading the defense.
Yeah. I like Coby, like you can see it, like watching the game, he's so vocal now too. He's speaking up. It's just really good to see because a lot of people were saying, that Coby was kind of done wrong in a way by the Bulls in terms of not bringing in a veteran guard to mentor him and things like that. But I kind of thought about it like maybe a week or two. I'm like, well, they kind of did it in a way with Mo Cheeks, you know what I mean? And Mo's a Hall of Famer. Mo's done this. Mo has seen every coverage you can think of. Obviously, there's still things evolving, but in terms of having a mindset of, I'm gonna make sure my guys eat before things get going, before I have to go crazy. And you can see it. Like I remember in the beginning of the year, he come down, take a heat check, and he's like, "Oh man, we let's get a good possession here, move the ball." But like that's just a part of his learning. You know what I mean? Like I think sometimes even me is like when I'm coaching, I have to pull myself back. Like you think, boom, you tell him one time and boom, And there are some players that are like that, but a lot of times, I've said it before. Like I've seen Coby, like his games in high school, and dude had to score, man. Like if they wanted to win ball games, he had to put the ball in the hole. And when you've been doing that for so long, it's so hard. In my opinion, just seeing some of my friends and things go to college and overseas, like it's hard to kind of pull the reins back and like, okay, wait. I got another dog with me. Okay. I don't have to boom, 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 get to the cup or boom, 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 step back. I don't have to do that. Let me come off this screen. Let me survey what's going on. Boom. Let me exact, or maybe I got that mid-range that Coby likes to take, that little coming off the screen, get to the nail, pull up, and he's really done I've been really impressed with Coby, man, because I'm not gonna lie. At one point, I thought Coby was just a scorer and a guy you can just throw the ball out to. Like, Coby, we need a bucket, man. Go get this bucket for me, But like just seeing the progression from him in terms of letting the game come to him, and seeing him and Vooch, and the pick and pops, the pick and rolls, like he's just so comfortable in that role, and it's encouraging, man. And shout out to Coby, man. You can tell he's been putting in the work.
Yeah, there's I was going to ask you that question, but you kind of mentioned it, Will, is that balance of getting his teammates involved, making sure they're eating, and then doing what Coby, so far historically has done best, which is putting the ball in the bucket. And as you mentioned, is the second time he got into the starting lineup this year after Vooch was there. You've really seen some growth, but he also had some really, really great games early in the year, where he had 10 assists, 13 assists. He had no turnovers one game. But I think you mentioned the consistency is what changes, and there's the ups and the downs. And for a young player that's learning a new role in his second year, that he's got to, he's a quick learner. But he's got to learn all those sets. He's got to learn all those reads. He's got to have that muscle memory built up. It's been nice to see him come around and get more and more consistent with it, because he's definitely had his ups and downs, and he's received a lot of praise and a lot of criticism this year. And, we as fans are always, wringing our hands over, do we need to bring in a point guard? Do we need to trade for a point guard? Who are we going to look for, and then we see Coby and the growth that he's shown this year. And especially when you've got Vooch and Thad and Zach and that read and react motion offense that they've been putting in, you see that, the team has been like number one in assists since the trade deadline. They can move the ball really well. They can generate great shots. And so to me, at least in my eyes, in my inexperienced eyes, it seems like the need for a, quote unquote, true point guard, the savant with the ball, like you mentioned, is a lot less of a need on this team than it was at the beginning of the year, because of that growth and because of the dynamic that Vooch and Zach and Coby have developed together. Sorry, I'm like losing my voice here, but I wanted to ask you, Santiago had a great question here, which is, if you wanted Coby to take the work into this offseason, which is about to start, and you say, hey, Coby, if you want to be a great point guard, you really need to study so-and-so's game. who would that be, or what kind of aspects of his game would you want him to work on this offseason?
I think, like I talked about, I think he's in the mode of a Damian Lillard archetype, where Dame, I feel like Dame this year has led the game. Like he's really like got people involved. And then in the second half, like he's like, all right, it's go time for him. Archetype wise, like some of the stuff that he does, some of the stuff that Kemba does, and then obviously like everybody's aware of the relationship him and Kris has of just controlling the offense from that point of view. Like studying Kris and how he controls the offense and picks out mix matches and making sure that everybody's in the right spot and just being vocal and just being a leader on the court.
I have a question for you. This may sound crazy, but I kind of said it to myself at the beginning of the year because, coming out of my mouth, people may be like, dude, you crazy. Like, don't talk basketball anymore, kind of deal. But him and Zach together, I feel like they could be like our version of Portland. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like Zach and Coby being Dame and CJ. And people will hear that and be like, man, we crazy, man. CJ this, da da da. But it's like if you look at what both Zach and Coby can do, and with the progression of Coby and Zach, both of them have made progression this year. Like I could see it, and then just kind of building around them better. Because I honestly feel like the Portland team is always. I don't feel like they've built the team around Dame and Lillard. I mean Dame and CJ that well. But I feel like that's what I see. I see when Coby has those games that he goes crazy, Zach goes crazy. I can see it. But like, what do you feel about that? Is that crazy? Should I shut my mouth or what do you think?
No, I think that it could be that, but I think that Kobe's like aspirations to be a more just like everybody knows him for scoring, so like everybody knows those guys for scoring. You know what I'm saying? I think his aspirations to be a more real-rounded guy that impacts winning.
I like that.
So him impacting winning may not be him going out there and getting 25, 30. It may be him like what he did against Toronto. It'd be 17 and 10 and 5 or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I just think for him, it's just like impacting winning. Like obviously that art, like I still go back to archetypes. Like they have the archetype, like background wise, to be that type of tandem. But at the same time, that's not how the Bulls' offenses ran anyway.
Exactly.
Where they run this like it's like a circle action for them guys to come off screens and shoot, or it's a 1-5 or a 2-5 ball screen, and now like they just playing out of that high ball screen. It's like you said, it's the motion with the read and react, which is I think is better. Now like everybody's going to touch the ball. Everybody's going to be engaged.
Yep.
And now, like, if we need to slow the game down like they have been and throw the ball inside to control the pace and tempo of the game, we can. So,
Yeah. You mentioned something about the overall impact that Coby wants to aspire to be, right? And an all-around player, two-way player. And one of the concerns that the Portland backcourt has always had is defensively. They've always had to kind of cover for those two guys. They've been kind of up and down. And I know Coby has received a lot of criticism this year. And Zach in the past has received a lot of criticism for their defense. And Billy Donovan especially has mentioned the point of attack defense as a consistent issue. Now the Bulls as a team, their defense is actually right in the middle. I think they were 13th last time I checked in the league, which is pretty respectable for the personnel that they have and all the changes they've gone through. But What are some ways that you've seen Coby improve defensively, or ways that you think he needs to improve defensively for him to be more of that impact player that he wants to be?
So, like, people, you dog the defense. Like, people got to think they was in a blitzing defensive all year last year, which is not really that complicated. So as a rookie coming in, your first year, you're in. All right, I just got to go over the screen. I know the big is gonna be there to help me, and I got to get back and contain the ball. And essentially, like the Bulls last year were the team that blitzed the most, and so like everybody else plays drop last year and they blitz. So that's why if you look, that's why Trae Young struggled last year. Because he wasn't able to come off those screens against the Bulls and manipulate and get to where he wanted to get to.
Yeah.
So like guys like him and the other guys, like it was hard on them. So it made everybody else look better. So you go into your second year in a short mini camp and we're fighting over screens and we're playing drop and we're playing different coverages. I think it's just repetition. Like it'd be different if like he just couldn't guard and he just can't guard and he was slow and he didn't want to guard. And I think I've seen growth from game 1 to game 71 of fighting over screens. It was a play today where he because that's where everybody says he just like he gets stuck on screens and like it's hard. I remember when I was working at UNCG as a grad assistant, I did an edit on Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart because they were like two of the best guards. That was about 4 years ago at like defeating screens. I think that's a skill in itself, is defeating screens, and it's just repetition. And I think he's gotten better at that. I think that's one of the things he needs to get better at, and then just containing the ball, not letting the defender get into his hips when he's playing like kind of one-on-one defense, or when he's getting back into the ball off the ball screen.
Yeah.
And then just more top blocking on like pin downs. Like I think that's something he was never taught until this year or last year. And when you top block a screen, it's really hard for an offensive player to come off that pin down and get to where he want to go. Most of the time, he's going to have to reject the screen, or you get pushed off your spot.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like some people believe like every professional basketball player, when they come into the league, they've been taught everything. How does a professional player not know how to do this? He's been playing basketball all his life. How does he not know how to do this? And I feel like as you grow up, like different coaches have different philosophies and how they like to guard certain things. And it's just funny to hear that, because like that's just how it is. Like just because you're in the NBA, like I remember Thad said in a post-game presser that when Zach came into the league, he didn't know how to drag a screen out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that is like, that's just how it is, man. You grow up like.
Yeah. I don't think that some people realize that in the college level, the coach's job is to win games. So he can feed his family. He don't get fired. Because if you don't win, you get fired. Like, so he's going to do whatever he feels like is the most effective for him to win games. And 7 to 8 times out of 10, obviously, it's changing now with the evolution of everybody trying to manipulate, like do what the NBA does on offense and defense in college. But everybody flat hedges or hard hedges a screen. So when you hard hedge a screen or flat hedge a screen, it's the same as blitzing in the NBA in college. Yep. So like if you go back and look at Carolina, that's what they did. They either flat hedge or they hard hedge, depending on where they was at on the court. So like, and in high school, like 99.9% of the best players on the team don't play defense.
Nope.
Because you don't have to.
Yep.
Like, or like, we don't need you to play defense because if you play defense, you're not going to be able to play offense.
Exactly. Yep.
So, like, you got to understand, like, it's different. Like, the coverages, the terminology. I just think, like I said at Carolina, like, they flat head or hard head when he was there, which is essentially the same as blitzing.
I'm so glad that because like for instance, you know what? Let me take that back because I'm like Lowry marketing. Like I don't know if you're cool with Lowry, but that post injury pass I put out on Twitter today, that's horrible. Like bro, like that's the certain things that I look at.
But to his defense though, like he's not used to making a post entry pass from the slot.
Yeah.
Like he was at the slot, like almost in the slot trying to make a post entry pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like usually he's the person receiving the post entry pass.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So like I can understand like, all right, he may not be comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
You know, it gives you some confidence though, because and I was going to ask this question. You guys are reading my mind before I even bring up the question. Which I was going to ask about the coaching and what skills are taught to collegiate athletes before they come in the NBA. Because as you mentioned, Will, they ran a blitzing scheme last year, which is a lot easier on a guy like Coby. And I thought Coby was pretty effective defensively last year, at least on the eye test. Like I thought he did his job pretty well. And I don't think he lacks in athleticism to stay in front of his man on one-on-one defense either. But the drop defense as a whole is a scheme, and it's very difficult on the guard because you have to navigate those screens and get back on your guy so they're not taking an open floater or being able to read the floor. You got to keep them uncomfortable, and that takes a lot of skill that isn't taught at the college level. So that's interesting that you say that, and I've seen growth from Coby this year, and I think they're going to be playing more of drop because of Vooch and his age and kind of his athleticism and agility kind of lend itself more to drop coverage than blitzing or anything like that, or even more aggressive drop scheme is probably going to be more deep drop. But someone else had a question here of the difference in coaching. So between last year's coaching and schemes versus this year, we talked about defensively how that's affected Coby. Offensively, I know you kind of touched on the type of offense that's been run this year, but do you feel going forward that that there's certain things in the offense that are going to influence Coby in a positive way and be able to help him grow offensively even more? Like where are you seeing those opportunities for growth offensively for Coby?
And I think this offense was good because they're like at Carolina, like they run a motion free, we call it freelance, where like you have to know how to play without the ball. So that's why number one, that's why he's so good without playing without the ball. And like if people don't realize that like Carolina was maybe top 10 in assists in the country when he was there at assists. So they shared the ball. But I think that the offense was of him just being able to read the offense and make the right read, and just being able to. I think that he has to develop a floater because everybody drops, and when he comes off the double drags and the ball screens. But I think I like this offense better because now you can't. And there was nothing wrong with the other offense, like I feel like an offense is an offense. Like you just have to go out there and execute it, no matter what you run. If you go out there and execute it, nobody can stop it. But just my personal opinion, it's just better because now like the ball is popping and the ball is moving and nobody's standing, like they're cutting or they're hitting the post. You know what I'm saying? Or they're split screening, and when the ball goes in the post, or they're staying. And like. It's a very unselfish team, as we saw. Like I think, are they top 10 in the league in assists?
I know they've been number one in the league since the trade deadline, at least last time I checked. They're averaging like 28.5, 29 assists a game, which is pretty good. This is insane, actually.
Yeah, so I think that like that's great. And I think just building more chemistry, like I think him building more chemistry with Zach and Vooch and obviously and Pat, like it's gonna be better because now like him and Zach and Vooch and Pat or whoever else is gonna be, you know, like Bad and Garrett and Laurie, like you just gain more knowledge of the offense and you gain more court time with those guys. So now I like get experience and repetitions of playing with those guys, and now I really can see where my shots are going to come from the offense now, and I really can see where like the other guys really want the ball.
Yeah,
that is key. I had two things left, right? So one of the things was for me, like Coby, right? Coby. What I like about Coby is to like a lot of players, like growing up, you know, you learn like you don't want to be sped up. You don't want to let a defender speed you up. You want to play at your own pace. I feel like that's another thing that I liked about Coby is he's been done a lot better of a job of like playing at his own pace. He's not allowing guys to get into him and you know guide him where they want him to go. He's getting into the offense a lot faster. Like I really, like I said, man, like Coby is really like progressed, and I believe he's going to continue to go that way, especially with Mo Cheeks, because it seems like him and Mo have like a great relationship. And then on top of that, like he's got a great relationship with CP, Chris Paul. So I don't know. I don't know how much they work out with each other or anything like that, or if they even do in the off season. But I feel like those are two pretty good guys to have on your side when it comes to progression. And the other thing is, Aldo, can you throw this picture up? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you see this picture, man?
That's my internship. I got it when I graduated. Well, for me to graduate, and we were in Burlington, and we won that tournament with 5 players.
Man, that's Coby right there next to you too, right?
Yeah, that was like he was in the 8th grade.
Man, that's the last time he cut his hair, I think.
Hey.
Yeah,
that's funny. Daniel asked, he's seen Coby take a bunch of charges this season. Is that on your coaching, your teaching? Are you getting him to take those charges, or like what are you getting in his ear about when he comes home?
Nah. I try not to make it all about basketball, just because I'm here with him all the time. And like, so we talk about basketball, but it's just more of like, all right, I saw this, or why did you do this? That the charges thing is just on him, like being in the right place at the right time and not being able to scare the contact, as you guys see, because he tries to go to the rim on everybody instead of pulling up for a floater.
He's been a lot. His finishing numbers his rookie season were, I know, were not as good as what he would have liked, but he's had some really nice finishes this year, and his efficiency has been going up, which has been nice to see. So 2 questions from our listeners here. So Christopher Gonzalez says, what do you and Coby like to do off the court? You know, we're not talking about basketball or in the off season, but what do you guys like to do, maybe specifically around Chicago area?
Man, we don't do anything. Coby's like, I guess Coby's a homebody. He's fine, like hanging out with family. We have a niece and a nephew. My sister's kids, hanging out with like my family, them, and chilling, just watching TV, being around family. Like we're big movie people, so we can sit and watch movies, and we quote movies all the time, like randomly, and like people be like, "What are you talking about?" And it'd be like from a movie that we've seen.
What's your guys' favorite movie? Like, or what movie do you guys really enjoy watching
Marvel.
together? Yeah.
Marvel. Like he's a Marvel guy. Like, well, most recently we watched a series of X-Men shows.
Okay.
Mhm.
Obviously that's kind of like DC, but and then we watched the new Michael B. Jordan movie that came out on Amazon.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, I
Tom
saw.
Clancy.
I got to see that. I haven't seen it yet, but
Yeah.
that's cool. When's Edward Sheeran says when's Froby coming back? When's it going? When's he? I know he's got he's got it all
Yeah. I don't
contained
know,
in the
man.
back.
I don't know, man. That's a lot of hair, right? If he ever did that, like I don't know if he'll be able to see out of his face.
There's got to be another inch or two. Circumference now bigger than it was last year. Last year it was getting there. It was an amazing thing to see. Oh man. Let's see what else you got, Larry. I know you got more questions.
So on the movie tip, like, what's the movie you guys quote the most?
Man, we watch a lot of movies. It could be Rush Hour.
Yes, the classic.
Yes.
Man's destroying a classic.
Yeah, it could be like Kevin Hart movies. Like,
oh my gosh.
Kevin Hart was in this like obviously Soul Plan with this terrible movie. Like I don't even think he made any movie. It's called Paper Soldiers.
Yes, yeah, I've seen that.
Paper Soldiers with like Benny Siegel in it, like that movie. It just be random movies, like or like Creed. We always quote Creed. It's the second one though, where the movie starts off and Michael B. Jordan comes in there and he's wanting to fight, and they're like, nah. And then the man's like, we're boxing the Delphi gym. We're not dancing. We're not singing. You struggle for something every day. You fight for your life. And so like we always quote that. So like it just be random stuff.
What's your favorite? My bad. I gotta get to,
no.
What's your favorite Friday? What Friday is your favorite?
I think like next Friday.
Okay.
Next Friday.
That's a good one. That's definitely the best one to me.
We quote. I quote that a lot. I think he quotes that too with the pinky scene.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in the record shop.
All right. Well, I gotta ask you.
I can't quote it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I gotta ask you because you said I know Coby's an introvert. That he gets real goofy sometimes, and we've seen it come out. Like his opening presser with the Bulls, where he watched Cam Johnson get drafted 11th. Do you ever hit him with the "wow, bro"? Do you ever hit him with "wow, bro"?
Nah, like I feel like people thought that was like some people thought it was a fake moment. That was like a genuine moment.
No, yeah.
The kids that like when you go to Carolina, the teams are close. Yeah. So like, not many people know like Cam like had hip surgery before his senior year.
I didn't know that.
And like he went through a process where like he can only like shoot standstill jumpers.
Dang.
And then there was a point during the year where like people had written it off. They had played Louisville and they got smacked by Louisville at the crib. And then they won like their last 12 games until they lost to 12 or 15 games till they lost to Duke in the semifinals. And Cam was shooting like 60% from three at one point in time.
I had to ask you because you got to razz him. You got to razz him for something. Like he's goofy sometimes. Like he had another quote. He had the video where the Bulls put out that he was whatever fries he had that day he loved. He was talking about, man, these fries are fire, man.
Nah. So it was the fries that they had in the bubble. And he was like, you had the fries downstairs. And he was serious about that though. Like he was serious. And they just videotaped him like the fries are fire. I was like, bro, were the fries really that good? He's like, yes, bro. The fries are really that good.
Oh man, I gotta go get some of those.
So Cookout, is that like the big restaurant that
Cookout. So Cookout is, first of all, Cookout is terrible for you. if you like trying to eat healthy, it's terrible for you. Very greasy, very bad. But you can go to Cookout, and they got these things called Cookout trays, and you can get an entree like a burger, a quesadilla, hot dog, corn dog, like chicken strips, and 2 sides. And like random sides, fries, hush puppies, whatever. Or like you can even get like a quesadilla as a side. And a drink for like last time I was home it was like $5.29.
Yeah, see that's that. Yeah.
And they stay open to 3 a.m.
Oh no, that's trouble. Hey, Will, what for you and Coby? What's your during the pandemic? What's your go-to like delivery? What do you get for food? Like, what's your go-to
we were
when you're
eating during the pandemic? And he's got a chef now that he eats the chef's food, but during the pandemic, like at the beginning, when we like obviously when you had to like DoorDash and Grubhub, it was like Cheesecake Factory and Grand Look.
I miss the Cheesecake Factory, brother. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's weird. I like their chicken teriyaki, man. They give you that whole breast, and you just I don't know what it is, but I mess with.
Got Larro talking about food now.
Hey man, you see me, man. I like my food, brother. I mean, hey man. But I gotta ask you this: growing up, like, what was Coby like? You and Coby, because both of you were athletes, and like, what makes Coby tick? Like, what's the one thing, like in a game or if y'all just kicking it and you say something like, what makes Coby tick? Like, what makes him go crazy? Like, if you're in a basketball game and he's just trying to chill and get guys involved, what makes him like, you know what, buddy talking too much. Now I got to give him a bucket. And the same thing for you. Like, I don't know, maybe y'all got the same thing. Like for me, like when I was playing, the biggest thing for me was I didn't like to talk that much. But if somebody started talking to me, that's what got me going. Like, then I'm ready to go. Like, what about for you?
For me, it was just like, yeah, probably somebody talking or if I had played against a team or something and they didn't respect me, or I knew they didn't respect me, or like in college, like I played against a team and I wanted to go to that school and they didn't recruit me or didn't offer me, like I knew like every time I played them, I was going to go out there and try to kill them. For Coby, like he has such an internal drive and internal motivation that like whoever's in front of him, like he gonna try to like kill him, especially like when he was in high school. Like it was like no, and even in college, like it was like his competitive nature and his spirit is like it's like crazy. Obviously, like you guys don't see that like on the TV, but if they lose, he walks straight to the locker room. You know how guys like sit there after the game and they talk and they like dap each other up. Like he's pissed that they lose.
Yeah.
So like it's not just like something that like makes him tick. I think he's always like ticking like it. Like obviously, like if you say something crazy to him, like it'll set him off.
Yeah.
But like I think he's kind of like always ticking in go mode.
I would love, but have you ever watched All the Smoke podcast?
I watched some of them. Yep.
I would love to know the moment that Coby, like there was a moment one player came to him and was just talking crazy during the game. I would love to know like who that person was that made him like either made him believe like okay, I'm in the league now, or like okay, I know I'm ready for it. I'm ready for this league, So, but dude, it's been fun talking to you, brother. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. It's been real fun. I don't know about you, Kris, but it's been fun talking to you.
Yeah, I feel bad because I could talk all night, but I know it's late in Chicago already. So,
where are you at, Kris?
I'm in on the West Coast. I'm in California.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's only 10:20 here, but I know it's getting late for you guys, but yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. You're welcome on anytime you got something to say that you don't want to, argue with Twitter trolls. You want to come say it on our show. You're welcome to come. You just let us know. But we really appreciate the insights into Coby and the team, and just, getting loose a little bit with, talking about food and what gets you guys going, like, and movies. Man, now that you're saying Rush Hour quotes, it's got me flooding. All the Rush Hour quotes are flooding through my head.
You know what my movie is life. Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence. That's I can quote that movie all day.
Oh man! Every time I see someone like hawking suits on the corner, now I always think of that. Cheap suits? How cheap? Cheap as hell?
Cheap suits.
Or then he's like, he's not going to be in Rush Hour 3. That line. Like, man, I love that series. So I'm glad we got to chat with you today. But is there anything else you want to let the people know? I know, you probably don't want any more Twitter interaction than you already got right now. But
nah, that's somebody actually like that's why my Twitter is locked. I like my Twitter because I gave my Twitter handle and Instagram handle to Mark's podcast, and I had like all these people follow me, and like I know they're following me just to like be nosy. So I like my Twitter, but nah, man. I would say my brother does a lot of stuff in the community now. Women in Tech. You can go donate to that if you guys feel like donating to Women in Tech. The link is on his Instagram bio. I know he just donated $10,000 the Raptors game. For every assist he had, he donated money to them. So if you guys want to do that, and then that's about it, man. Like,
support.
We love Coby's been doing a lot of that kind of promotion with what he wears, pre and post game and that kind of stuff. And it's great to see what he's doing for the community. I know I'm sure I speak for Larro and other fans. I'm so excited to see what Coby's got in store next year when we got, more additions coming in the off season. We got a full training camp. Hopefully things will go back to normal. So excited to see his growth. And you mentioned his demeanor, that we don't always see it, his competitive fire, but we do see it. We see, the confidence that Coby has in himself and the way that he handles his, ups and downs. And he's just been really impressive to handle, the praise and the criticism and the ups and the downs, obviously, that come with an NBA season and all the different things that he's had to go through with the pandemic involved this year. So we're really proud of him as fans. We love him as Chicago fans. So we hope, Will, that Coby knows that he doesn't pay attention to the trolls, and that you don't pay attention to the trolls as much, that, we love him, and we're glad he's on the team, and we want to see him succeed as much as you do. So with that, we'll wrap it up. We appreciate you coming on. You guys should go to Coby's Instagram if you want to donate. Check out the causes that he's supporting and donating to, help out the community in any way you can. We really appreciate you guys doing that. And that's going to do it for Bulls 101. Thanks again, Will, for coming on, and we'll see you guys next week. I know the season's ending tomorrow, but we're going to have content for you all off season. Every week we'll have something. But Will, I wanted to have you predict, what do you think Coby's final stat line for the year is going to be tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm not good at things like this.
Put you on the spot.
If I after he shot his first shot, I would have thought he was going for 30 today.
Man, that would win.
That shot was on.
But you never know. I don't know. I would say 14, 5, and 3.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we'll see what he's got. All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
All right.